Welcome to EduChats. Today is a very special episode where we'll be discussing the EduFirst story. So as you all know, EduChats is a subsidiary of EduFirst, which is a charity, non-profit charity, which helps provide children with the best possible education. And today I'm here with Luqmaan, who is the head chairman of EduFirst.
Chairman. I don't know if it's head chairman.
Vice chairman, not vice chairman, that's me, but
chair of the board.
Chair of the board
Like
of directors at EduFirst. So, Luqmaan, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. So, EduFirst, tell me, like, when did it start? How did it start?
EduFirst started on a cold afternoon.
At Stoke.
Really at the beginning of the pandemic. So we were sitting around, our lessons had just been cancelled. I went back to my comm, sitting in my room, sat down, and then I sat and I thought, even if my university gets cancelled, I can still effectively learn, you know? I can still put in education, I can still do it at home online if need be. But around the world, so many people can't even get primary school education, let alone a university education. And education just isn't free and high quality to so many different people around the world. And so I've just felt, let me try something. I'm in my first year of uni, got quite a lot of time. Uni's about to be cancelled and ended up being cancelled because of COVID. So let me just go for it and try and make a difference in the world.
So you would say that obviously COVID and lockdown almost hindered your chances, not chances at an education, but it stopped like your lessons and your seminars for that.
Yeah, I'd say it was like, it slowed it down a little bit. I learned a little bit less, but I still learned, effectively. I still got an education. I still completed first year.
Yeah, but because of that, that was almost like a catalyst to wanting to improve the lives of people who aren't as fortunate as me or you. You know, education is served as a plate on the UK.
Yeah.
In the UK, in other places is not really like that. So you would say like lockdown and COVID was almost like the catalyst to give you that drive to start.
Yeah, that extra push, it showed me, because I've always valued my education. I've always thought education is one of the most important things. Many people that know me know I like to know things. Like, if there's a piece of knowledge, I will try and know it. And because for me, I'm someone, as people know me, I'm someone who likes to know as many things as possible. If there's a new sport, I'll find out the first 10 teams in that sport instantly just off watching it once alone. I like knowing stuff. I like to think of myself as a pretty decent-sized encyclopedia. But because I value education so much, I think I just wanted to make a difference. And coming from my background, I've seen, like, my biggest inspiration in my life is 1,000,000% my dad. And I've seen my dad come into the country with effectively nothing by himself first. He didn't even come with my mum first, to try and help us out, to give us a chance to have the British education system, to have that opportunity. And he came here, he worked full time while also doing college full time. He completed a university degree just off the back of his own. He's working in a good career now, where he's sustaining my entire family. Ever since I've been a kid, I haven't, like, even if we were struggling, I've never seen the struggle because of the amount of effort my dad has put in. And so that's just solely off the basis of his education and what he's learned since coming to this country, and the college he's received, and the tuition he's received, and the university education that he's received. So I want to be able to give that to children around the world. I want children around the world to be able to see the power of education. And I want to make a difference in the world. My favourite quote among all quotes is a quote from John F. Kennedy that says, "If not us, then who? If not now, then when?" I feel like if we're not the ones to make a change, then who will? And if we're not going to do it now, then when's the time we're going to make a change? So I just felt education is a crisis going on worldwide, and we really need to make a difference.
Yeah, 100%. And well said as well. I think with education, just on a worldwide basis, I think like there's a lot of problems on this earth. Like, there's all kinds of things going on, from the cost of living to environmental concerns, but it's almost like education often gets swept to the side a little bit, when really it's super important, because education is the thing that, you know, teaches children and teaches young people and almost makes them the people who are going to run the world in the future, right?
a lot of the problems can be solved with improvements in education. We have, let's say we're in a recession, improve the skill of labor, which improves productivity, which effectively grows the economy. A lot of problems can be solved within education, and only 1% of humanitarian aid goes towards education. With regard, a significant amount proportion goes towards defense, where defense is effectively causing many of the problems we have today.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And if they invested more of that to education, a lot of those problems,
Eradicated instantly.
Yeah.
You know. So I just feel like it needs to be more of a thing that we look at, and more of a thing that we focus our energies on, especially the governments around the world. I've got a question for you.
Go on.
I came in with EduFirst as an idea. Obviously, I approached a lot of my friends, one of them being you, and asked them if they wanted to get involved, but I didn't give much of a backstory behind it. I just hit a brief and asked if you want to get involved. What about it made you want to be involved with EduFirst?
Yeah, no, that's a good question, actually. I think at the time you asked me where I was in my personal life, I was working a retail job at Sainsbury's.
Don't say that like it's bad.
I mean, it's not bad, but for me personally, I didn't enjoy the experience. I wanted to do something else, right? So I didn't really know what I wanted to do in life. And obviously, being a product of the education system, I've been in education up until the end of A-levels, right? And it was almost like once you leave A-levels, you're kind of, you're on your own path. And I did decide to go to uni, which I obviously discussed in the other podcast, but it didn't work out for me. So you've come to me with this idea about an education charity helping other people to provide them with the best opportunities for education. That just sounds like something that was, a super good opportunity, because not only is it helping myself, but it's helping other people, and that's the best possible thing, helping other children get the best possible education. Even just this year, the uniform initiative, right?
Yeah.
So obviously you came to me as a friend as well, so that was part of it. Of course, I'd like to help my friend, but it was almost like the idea you gave me, the idea you came to me with was helping other people, and I valued that. It gave me something to do when I was in a time where I just didn't know what I wanted to do. So it almost gave me a pathway, and it helped me, it guided me onto the path I'm on now. So yeah, I think yeah, I'm really grateful for that, I think.
Yeah. So looking at EduFirst from a whole, looking at it, the first thing we came up against was obviously starting a non-profit organization during COVID. So we faced quite a bit of difficulty, especially with fundraising and being able to do actual fundraisers,
Yeah.
Because we want to make a difference. When you've come up with this idea in your head, you're like, I want to go straight into it. I want to make it happen, But especially with something like the non-profit sector, it's quite difficult to go straight into it if you have no money.
Right.
I'm at home. I don't think I had a job at the time. No, I didn't have a job at the time. COVID's just hit.
It's lockdown.
It's lockdown. I'm stuck inside. What am I meant to do, And so I think for me, it was quite frustrating. What's your perspective on that? How did you find how frustrating it was, especially to try and, especially being vice chair as well, with the rest of the team around us?
I think obviously there's always going to be those elements of frustration. There was definitely setbacks we had. There was definitely struggles we had. There was a lot of adaptation that we had to go through as well. And obviously during the period, which obviously doesn't help, of lockdown, it's almost like not only are we literally on lockdown physically, but me personally, I feel like it almost shortens your perspective. Your mental perspective is almost on lockdown, because you're trapped almost in your house or your room or whatever. So that makes it very difficult. It makes it hard to broaden your perspective. It makes it hard to think outside of the box. And I think that really, really hurts when you're vice chairman, when you're chairman, because you need to be able to think outside the box. You need to be able to have a broad perspective. Otherwise, how are you going to think of the ideas to fundraise? How are you going to provide children or provide, education to young people if you can't even do that? So during that period, I think it was a big struggle for me. And also it's something new. I've never been in a charity before.
Yeah.
We were young. We were what, 18?
No.
19?
Some of us were 19, some of us 20.
19, 20, that's still super young. Like I like at that point, a lot of us were in uni, or like we still were barely adults, right? So it was something new, and it was something that I think we had to adapt and overcome. But I mean, I think we did well. Like, you know, we went through darkness and we came out. You know, we came out of the tunnel into light. So yeah. What about you? Like, how did you deal with that?
I think it was quite frustrating, especially like you said, where a lot of people talk about lockdown and say, I felt good because it felt like we were all together in this, united. But for me, lockdown was different because like you said, the world became so small, you know, and the only thing that was important was that seemed important to me at the time was my world. And when you're living in your small bubble constantly, the only thing you remember is your world, you know. You forget that people are out there in Somalia, for example, which we helped, that are in a completely different continent, completely different situation from me, that are also in lockdown. But because I'm confined to this one specific place, I'm confined to this idea of lockdown, I'm like, I struggle to think of those people. And like you said, you struggle to come up with different ideas. And especially during the beginning, you need to be at your most creative.
100%.
You need to come up, you need to pull rabbits out of the hat, so to speak. But I feel like we did really well, especially given that, and being able to introduce, we had the FIFA tournament, which even though might not have raised a life-changing amount of money or an education, even from a non-profit perspective, it's nowhere near a high amount of money, but we were able to plant our foot down and make a change, do something, actually have an action in place.
Take that leap. I think we took that leap, and as you said, it wasn't anything special. We didn't raise thousands of pounds with that, but you know, it was a start. And with that, not only did we all as a team, we learned important values and skills which we use even now. It was an experience as well. Like, you know, this was the first time, you know, we're fundraising and like actually raising money.
We're actively doing something. We're actively promoting something. We have something to promote.
Yeah,
you know, and that felt good. And then following on from that, we had our first conversation with the Somali Hope Foundation Academy. And I think, I can't even remember what I was doing. It was one afternoon, obviously stuck inside my house. I can't go anywhere. And I'm just looking through, we were discussing which countries to help. I remember we discussed which countries to help.
Yeah.
Initially wanted to help sort of Palestine-ish, but we realised it's incredibly difficult, especially with the ongoing embargo type thing that they have. Yeah. But we said it was quite difficult to get in there. And then we were looking at Somalia as another opportunity, which is also incredibly difficult to get into. But I found a charity by the name of Somali Hope Foundation Academy online, and it was as if everything we were looking for had amalgamated into one organization. It was amazing.
It just made sense.
Yeah.
It made sense. I mean, I remember for me during that time, it was just exciting. It was like, wow, like we're actually going to be working with, you know, an organization in Somalia. Like that, it's crazy to think about from where we started to, you know, that point. It was like, this is a big step for us. Yeah. How did you feel? Like, obviously, I
feel like, especially coming from a chair perspective, I feel like we needed something to motivate everyone. We needed a motivation, like a trigger, an injection of life. And I feel like that first conversation with Mahmoud went swimmingly. It was amazing. And just putting that into the chat, you could sense that there was a buzz with everybody, all the other directors. And I really did enjoy that period of time, especially where a couple months later we had another conversation with Mahmoud. We were discussing actually putting in a fundraiser in place for us to raise money to create a science lab in their school. And following on from that, we did loads of different fundraisers. First one being Munch on Tour. Wow. Munch on Tour is a personal favourite of mine, although many people might dislike it. It's one of my personal favourite fundraisers because we were giving university students a meal as well.
Yeah.
So effectively to the viewers at home.
It was good food as well.
So we traveled around the country. We went to 5 different locations. We went to Loughborough,
Nottingham,
Birmingham,
Kent,
London.
Yeah.
East London, really.
Yeah.
Apologies, West London. But first one, Loughborough, was a bit tough because we didn't realize
First
how
time
hard
though.
it was.
Yeah.
So we went and we sold food to them, effectively university students, and we gave them a list of stuff. It would be mac and cheese. We had rice and prawns.
Wings.
We had wings. We had loaded fries. And we sold that effectively. We had our chef, one of the other directors, Justin, and we sold those. And we didn't even use the profits. We just used the revenue in general. So we put our money into it, and we used the revenue to go towards the building of the science lab. So that was the first big fundraiser we did. And then following on from that, we had the marathon.
What a time! What a time for you specifically. Obviously, you actually did the marathon. Tell the viewers, tell them how, the preparation that you undertook for that.
Yeah. So on the 20th, it's actually 9 days.
What, 1 year anniversary?
Yeah, 1 year anniversary. On the 26th September 2021, I ran the Berlin Marathon. I don't know what that table tap was for.
Drum roll, innit?
So in the marathon, I had to run 42.2 kilometers like any other marathon around Berlin. And we used that to raise money for the organization. And I can tell you without doubt, the toughest thing I've ever done in my life.
Ever. Even harder than A-levels.
Yes.
Yeah.
1,000,000%. I would do A-levels 10 times over than run a marathon again.
10 times?
10 times. Maybe not 10, maybe 7 or 8. So yeah, the marathon. So we raised money. I came to us as an idea. I can't remember what I was watching. I think I was watching. It was a popular YouTuber. I can't remember his name. Where he went from being quite overweight to being quite fit, and then he decided to run a marathon for charity, for mental health charity. I think it was, what's his name? Ethan from the Sidemen.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So he ran the marathon, and I watched the first episode of the documentary that he was doing on it. And I was like, this is sick. Like the amount of willpower it takes. And it's like, for me, it felt like I was representing the children walking those miles to get to school, I was representing all those children that don't get an education. The struggle they go through, this is like a teardrop compared to a sea,
Yeah.
It was like, I'm just running a marathon once. They have to run a marathon every day just to get an education. And so I just felt like it equated quite easily. And so, yeah, on that day, on the 26th of September in Berlin, I ran the marathon. Tough time.
What time did you get again?
I think I got 5 hours, something.
That's good.
I should have got lower, but at the time I did get plantar fasciitis.
Oh,
So
is that the heel?
In my foot, bottom of my foot.
Bottom of your foot.
Yeah, so I other than that, I was peak condition though. It felt weird. I think it was one of the only times in my life I felt perfectly fit.
Yeah.
Like I woke up in the morning, no niggles, no pains, no need to stretch. I did stretch, but no like urge to stretch.
It's almost like it was fate.
Yeah, and then I had a good meal. Like I had the fruits in our hotel. We had fruits. And then I went out there, ran, had enough energy gels, including the energy gels they gave us, had some bananas as well they gave us to run with, gave us water as well.
Yeah.
And it was good. It was good. I didn't get one stitch in the entire. That's the only run I've ever done, including all my practices, that I've ever had where I haven't had a single stitch.
Well, that's good. Well, that's good. No, like when you was doing it, did you want to quit it, or did you think like halfway through you thought?
While I was running?
Yeah.
While I was running, no. While I was training, yeah.
Seriously?
Yeah. While I was training, I was like, this is hard.
Yeah.
This is really, really hard. I was thinking, do you reckon I can just delete all the posts on social media, pretend it's never happened? But while I was running, it's like, and big up, one of the best places I've ever been, Berlin. The city was with you the entire time. clapping you on.
The people supporting them.
Yeah, like right at the end, I was struggling. Like I was like nearly walking towards the end, and then I think because you've got these
The number?
the numbers at the front, and on top of the number, it's got your name.
Yeah.
And then I heard someone go, "Hey, look, man, sprint!" And I said, "You know what? Yeah."
Was this at the ending, like near the finish line?
I'd say like 800
Oh,
800 meters left,
yeah.
or something like that. I was like, "Yeah, you know what?
yeah.
I am gonna sprint. Let me go for it." And then the last stretch is literally like for like a good 800 meters. It's like one all the way down,
Yeah.
past the Brandenburg Tor,
Okay.
which is some gate, and you run all the way past the finish line. So I ran all the way, sprinted the entire way, and then I think I nearly cried when I crossed the line. It was crazy.
Like, I was gonna say, what did it mean to you to obviously doing a marathon is not an easy feat, especially
like
if you're not a runner.
I'd overcome all the hurdles. I've done it. I've raised the money. I haven't let the people down that I've raised the money for. You know, I'm able to make a difference for these children. It felt amazing. It was perfect bliss until I tried to walk after.
I bet the next morning wasn't good either.
I was meant to fly out the next morning, but I couldn't get up.
Seriously? So like, did you have to change, or did you just miss your
Because
flight?
I went with Justin, and Justin had his flight was the next day.
Right.
I didn't even change my flight. It was too late for me to change my flight. I just booked a flight the next day.
Oh wow.
Yeah, expensive.
Yeah. I guess it comes with the trades.
Yeah.
Wow, I think that's really cool. Like, obviously, to be, you know, we went from FIFA tournaments to a marathon. That's a really big step, and I think that really sums up EduFirst as a whole throughout, you know, 2020 to 2021.
Yeah,
it was 2021, right?
Yeah.
So like, I think that's super impressive. So after that, what was after the marathon? Was it 3 Peaks?
Marathon was September. We continued a bit. We introduced a newsletter to try and give people a chance. We introduced a podcast.
Yes. Shout out EduChats.
Word to EduChats, which was just an idea for us to have conversations, you know, about education.
Also spreading awareness as well.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of the time when you're working in a non-profit organization, you have to hide behind a corporate facade, you know, where this opinion that we have has to be the opinion of EduFirst. Whereas when we're sitting in EduChats, it's everyone can speak for themselves, give their own personal opinions, different touch, have guests, have different perspectives, you know. Like some of us might sit there and go, university all the way, why aren't you going university? That might be a person's opinion.
And that's okay. Like for you to have
sit
that.
here and say, but university didn't work for me, and now I'm in an apprenticeship, and that's going well. So yeah, I think it was really good to come out of that and have a good podcast. It's been going really well so far. I've really enjoyed it so far. And then we moved on from there, and we had the uniform initiative, which we needed to raise money for this time. Yeah. The last one we managed to raise money for the Somali Hope Foundation Academy's Science Lab. That was what the Munch and Tour was for. That was for what the marathon was for. And it was a really good endeavor. Now we needed to raise money for the Uniform Initiative. Why don't you tell the viewers what the Uniform Initiative was?
Yeah, so the Uniform Initiative is, you know, an initiative to provide children in our local borough of Barking and Dagenham with...
Best borough in the world.
With you know, free uniforms. So like, obviously, especially with the cost of living crisis is really affecting us nowadays. You know, we identified that a lot of children, a lot of adults are struggling to provide their children with uniform. It's expensive, you know, especially like
average price is £100 per uniform.
Per uniform. Imagine you've got, you know, 3 kids like that. That's really tough. So we targeted, you know, parents and children that didn't really have the financial means, and you know, we gave them the option to give them, you know, free uniforms.
Yeah,
so
because our borough as a whole, our council don't do anywhere near enough for uniform as a whole. They don't offer any grant whatsoever for any children within the borough with regards to uniform. And there are several different councils around the country. Salford just introduced one recently to give children a grant to the uniform in addition to their free school meals. However, the Barking and Dagenham Council don't feel that they need to recognise free school meals as a separate entity from uniform.
It's funny because children have to have uniform for
to
school.
go to school.
That is literally the rules that all of these schools enforce. So, you know, I think they should really be doing more. They should be providing grants, because there's a lot of children and a lot of parents that aren't in, you know, the best
financial
exactly. So
I feel like EduFirst as a whole is going to try to push for that. We're going to consistently provide with our uniform initiative, but we will try to lobby and move the needle with regards to the uniform grant for the council, because it's not good enough. And there are many people struggling, and children, every child in the country has a right to education, has a right to uniform, has a right to gain those opportunities that me and you and Justin and every other director at EduFirst has utilised them.
Why I don't know why you have to be paying hundreds to go to school.
It's quite appalling, really, actually.
100%.
Very questionable. But to do that, we tried to raise money using the 3 Peak Challenge.
That was the hardest day of my life. So 3 Peaks Challenge. Me and another director, Dawit. We scaled the three mountains in Yorkshire. So I forgot what they're called: Ingleborough, Whernside, and Pennygants.
Brilliant names.
Yeah.
Pennygants sounds like a true crime novelist.
Yeah, it felt like a crime to my body. I tell you that. It was very tough. I mean, obviously, just like your marathon, we undertook preparations, training. It was hard as well. But unlike you, when I was training, I almost thought, this is gonna be fine. Like, I'm gonna go onto these mountains and smash it.
What's the difference in training? Because obviously, I'm training to jog.
Yeah.
I'm training to constantly be jogging, whereas you, like, for a most significant proportion of it, you're obviously going to be walking.
Yeah.
So what's the difference in training? Me, I just had to run and run and run and run and run.
For me, it was literally a lot of incline. As in, we'd be in the treadmills in gym, put it onto max incline, put the speed up to like 3. So we wasn't going fast, we wasn't running, but it was just walking on the incline. Then we'd lower it a bit just to get that, you know, the almost realism of the mountains, and then we'd raise it up again and whatnot. So we'd have this little like routine. So we'd do like half an hour on incline, just walking, like closer to the time, it was nearly every day. So the training wasn't too bad, but the actual, like, on the day, you know, we had to get into Yorkshire, it's a 5-hour journey as well, at like 6 a.m. And then we had to just start, and we had guides with us as well, and they just got straight into it. Like, they wasn't playing about. These were professional hikers and mountain climbers. Like, we was literally on the first mountain within half an hour. And then, like, we had small breaks, like 2-minute breaks every so often. And then we got to the base of the first mountain, and they was like, okay, let's go. And me and Dawit, we was exhausted by this point, and it's only been half an hour, and we still have to climb this mountain and 2 others after that, and walk for a total of 12 hours. So it was really tough, and it was like a shock. You know,
what was the worst hour?
The worst hour. So the start was hard, but it, you know, we got warmed up, we got into it, it was fine. Then the next mountain, like between mountains, we have to walk for like 2 hours. So there's like, that walking period is almost like a break on your body. You're just walking. You have to go down a little bit, but it's fine. The next mountain is tough. Now, this is the point where I'm really starting to struggle. As in, like, you know, I'm hungry at this point. We haven't had lunch yet. Lunch is after. So we're hungry, we're thirsty, and it's steep as well. And the sun was shining as well. But that was probably the hardest part. The second mountain, like climbing up that was really hard. And then descending the second mountain, again, it was like a 2-3 hour walk to the next point, and that was where we was going to have lunch. But by this point, I got really bad cramps in my legs, so literally I could not walk at a certain point, and I had to like stop for a little bit.
Did you bring energy gels?
Yeah.
How many?
Only 1. Silly mistake, I know, but
for the marathon, I bought 6.
6.
And they gave me like 6 more.
They didn't give us anything. like honestly, that was just me underestimating it, to be fair. But that period after I started cramping, that was the worst part. Not the second mountain. That period after I started cramping was tough. But unfortunately, we didn't even get to finish the third mountain.
Still walk for 12 hours?
We still walked for 12 hours, 10, 11 hours. And then, by the time we got to the base of the third mountain, they said we're not allowed to because it was too late because of my cramps. So Next time, I'll remember to bring energy gels. But yeah, it was such a good experience. I think it was something I've never done before. I've never done hiking or climbing mountains, so it was an awesome experience with like the best views ever. Like standing on top of those mountains, looking at the Yorkshire scenery was
just looking at the pictures, I was like, I need to go up these mountains. It's ridiculous.
Honestly, like
beautiful.
It was good. It was good. But yeah, we still managed to raise money for the Uniform Initiative as well, which is amazing. Like, thank you to everybody who donated.
Yeah, big up you, man.
Yeah, thankfully we were able to provide 17 uniforms.
17 children with uniforms.
17 children with uniforms.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Yeah, it was amazing. Like going door to door, I delivered them. I made sure I delivered them by hand, just so I could see the reactions, and then I could see kids, 12-year-old kids, going, "Oh, thank you, I really, really appreciate it." And it's like melting your heart slowly inside.
You start walking away with tears in your eyes,
and it's like, I'm actually making a difference. We're actually doing something. And it's amazing stuff. And it's like, I treat EduFirst like it's my kid.
Yeah,
I'm incredibly protective over it as well. Yeah. And so, like, when we're able to do something, it's as if watching your kids, score the winning goal in a football match. Project Mbappe has finally succeeded.
Project Mbappe.
He finally did it, and it's just been amazing. Yeah. So that's effectively where we are now. We're looking forward to doing much more plans, having many different things in the future where we can make a real impact around the world, in our borough, across the country. So I'd say people should stay tuned to watch that and see how we can really, really make a difference.
100%, because there's some good things coming as well. Like, and we'll always be here to provide that value and provide awareness as well.
Yeah, inshallah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So, what do you, as the last or second to last question, what do you see for EduFirst in the next 5 to 10 years?
5 to 10 years. So like almost a long-term vision, long-term goal. Well, first of all, I'd like just to see it grow. I mean, when you think of charities and the big charities, you see people actually wanting to volunteer and people, the community getting involved. And like, when I picture EduFirst, I want that. I want people to actually just want to volunteer for us and help us, but also help make a difference to other people. I want the community to be involved as well as just us, because I love you guys, but it would be much better if we just had other people as well. Just getting the community involved, I think that's so important to me. So yeah, like just really growing and expanding our reach.
That expansion for me. I'll say it. I've said it once. I'll say it again. I want to build a school. I really want to build a school, whether it's in Guyana, Dominica, in Pemba Island, in Zanzibar, in Senegal, in Palestine, if that becomes possible or feasible. I really want to build a school. I really want to be able to give, like, effectively this. Here we're helping with the provision. I want to actually be the provider of this education. I want to actively change the lives of these children.
I think that's so important as well, because like you said, you're indirect, like not indirect, you're in direct conjunction with changing the lives of these children.
You're really, like, I think one of our next few episodes is with a teacher. I want to know how it is for them, the feeling to actively shape lives and shape communities and shape governments and shape countries, shape the world effectively. Yeah, because you can have an impact on the world. You can change the world. Any child around the world can change the world. And I just want to give them the opportunities that I've had.
Like, education gives them the tools to do that.
So to actively be the provider in terms of a school, I think that's the ultimate goal.
Yeah,
and I feel like we can really do that in the next 5 to 10 years.
How would you, like, do you have a plan of how, do you have almost a roadmap of certain stages?
I feel like we need to become quite prevalent within our community first and foremost. We need to have a significant backing, being able to access funding, work with local businesses, work with national sized businesses. It's a decent way to get a tax break, donating to a charity. And I feel like that's something we can do to help make a real difference, like building that school, so we
just need to knuckle down
and grow. I think that's almost the theme of it.
Yeah, everything. You just need growth, effectively. And we're growing at a steady rate.
Yeah.
We have projects planned. We have organizations we want to work with. You know, I just feel like we have a real opportunity here, and we shouldn't let it hinder for us. We shouldn't let it stop for a second. You know,
especially because we can change the lives of so many people, not even just children, but so many people. I think that's super important as well.
Yeah, so I feel like ultimately we can help change the world and help really, really make education a right, not a privilege.
There you go. There you have it. Yeah, thank you for talking about the story with me.
That's all right. You're part of the journey. We're all part of the journey. Yeah. You can be part of the journey. I feel like, it's an important thing to talk about. It's an important thing to enact. And I just feel like hopefully we can continue making steady pace. We continue to see the podcast, EduChats grow. We can continue to see us grow consistently.
Another uniform initiative, maybe.
2023.
2023.
Inshallah.
Yeah, man. Wow. Yeah.
It's been a pleasure talking to you, Jermaine.
Likewise. Thank you, man.
Hopefully we'll see you in the next podcast as well.
Yes, I'll be there.
All right.
Stay tuned, guys.
Stay tuned. See you later.